Hello and welcome back to Easy English with James. Today we're going to learn all about the letter X in English. Now, the letter X is a consonant letter. It's the 24th letter in the English alphabet, and in the alphabet it's pronounced X. X. But there are actually up to 5 ways that we can pronounce this letter in English. So if you're not sure exactly what those 5 ways are, then stick with me for this really interesting lesson all about the letter X in English. Okay, so let's start with the most common way that we can pronounce the letter X in English, and that is as X, X, X. Now, if you listen carefully, it sort of sounds like the word kiss really, really quickly. X, X, X. It's that K sound with a S sound afterwards. X, X. So, practice that X sound with me. X, 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 X. And one of the most common times where you will hear that X pronunciation of the letter X is when you see it at the end of words, especially short words like box, box, or mix, mix, or max, max, or fox, fox. Let's try again. Box, box, mix, mix, max, max, and fox, fox. Also in that dreaded word, tax, tax, okay? Not a big fan of this word. Tax, tax. But it's also found at the end of some longer words like complex, 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 or paradox, paradox, or even reflex, reflex, reflex. Try those again. Complex, complex, paradox, paradox, and reflex, reflex. Complex, paradox, and reflex. Now, that X pronunciation of the letter X is extremely common, nearly always, when you see E and X together, and there are lots and lots of words in English that have that EX at the beginning of the word, and they're really good words to learn. So I'm going to help you practice some new words now, some new vocabulary to master that sound. Words like extend, 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 or excuse, 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 or expand, expand, and expect, expect. And finally, exclaim, exclaim, or exclude, exclude. So let's try that again. Extend, extend, excuse, excuse, expand, expand, expect, expect, and exclaim, exclaim, and exclude, exclude. You'll also see this in words where you see EX and then a consonant. Short words like text, text, or next, next. So text and next. You've got that EX and then a consonant letter afterwards. In this case, a T. Text and next. Now, what I would like you to do is to choose one of those EX words. It could be expand, it could be exclude, it could be excuse, and I want you to find the meaning of that word and write a sentence in English with that word in it in the comment section. And I will personally check that sentence for you and reply. This will help you not only to practice the pronunciation of that X sound, but also to learn some new vocabulary. So choose one of those words, learn the meaning, and write a sentence in the comments. Now, X is also pronounced as X in words where you have multiple syllables, many syllables, and X is sort of between two vowels. So you have like vowel, X, vowel. Usually when the first syllable is stressed. Look at words like boxer, boxer, or taxi, boxer and taxi, or exile, 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 and exercise, exercise. So boxer, taxi, exile, and exercise. Also in pixel, pixel. I recently bought a Google Pixel phone. Pixel phone. So if you want to pronounce the name of that phone correctly, remember it's with that x. Pixel. Pixel. A Google Pixel. A Google Pixel. The letter X is also pronounced as that x in words where you don't only see EX, but you see EX and C together. Words like excellent, 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 or excel, excel, or exciting, exciting. You've got that X at the beginning, EX, and then you've got that C, which is like an S, exciting, exciting. So what I want you to do now is to try some of these tongue twisters with this pronunciation of the letter X. Have a look at this one. Excited boxers excel next to foxes. Excited boxers excel next to foxes. Excited boxers excel next to foxes. Okay, now let's have a go at another one. Expressing text except in taxis. Expressing text except in taxis. Expressing text except in taxis. Okay, and we have one final sentence here. Excellent exercise, taxing the max, with boxes and foxes and texts about tax. Excellent exercise, taxing the max, with boxes and foxes and texts about tax. Practice those as many times as you need to, and you should see your pronunciation of that x, letter X, improve dramatically. Now, the second way that we can pronounce the letter X is quite a weird pronunciation. We pronounce it as a sort of g and z together. Gz, gz, gz. And it's very quick. Gz, 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 gz. And this pronunciation of the letter X is also when you see the letter X in between two vowels, but usually only when the second vowel or the second syllable is stressed. Okay? So in words like taxi, that first a is stressed. But in words like example, it's not. Actually, the a, the second syllable, is stressed. Example, not taxi. Okay? And in words where that second vowel is stressed, we pronounce that X more like gz, gz. Listen carefully. Example, example, example. Also, exist, exist, exist. Or exotic, exotic. A really cool word. Exotic, like exotic fruit or exotic locations. Exotic. Now, you might also notice something interesting about this. Most native speakers, when we're speaking really quickly, we don't actually pronounce that E as an E here. We don't say exotic. When we're speaking really quickly, we actually shorten it so it's more like a I. Exotic, exotic, exotic. Or example, example, not example. And actually, you will hear both, depending usually on how fast a native speaker is speaking. Example or example, example. And I want you to learn how to speak really, really quickly, just like a native English speaker does. So practice with me. Example, example, example. Exist, exist, exist. Exotic, exotic. Or finally, exuberant, exuberant. There's another cool word. Add that to your vocabulary. Exuberant, exuberant. We also have words like exam, or exact. You'll notice there's a lot of words where you have EX and then A, and the A is stressed, like example, exam, exact, exactly. Okay, all of these are examples of that gz pronunciation of the letter X. So make sure you go back and practice all of those words many, many times, and you'll start to get a real feel for when we pronounce that X as x and when we pronounce it more like gz. Example, example. Now, this also applies to words where you see EX and then a silent letter H, because that silent H is basically not there. We don't pronounce it at all. So it follows the same rule where that second syllable is stressed. So we pronounce the X as gz. Look at words like exhaust, exhaust, or exhibit, exhibit, or exhume, exhume. Okay, exhaust, exhibit, and exhume. So, try this awesome practice sentence. Exhausted executives exhibit exuberance, exhorting examples existing in abundance. Exhausted executives exhibit exuberance, exhorting examples existing in abundance. One more go. Exhausted executives exhibit exuberance, exhorting examples existing in abundance. Oh, that was quite a tough one. Again, though, it will really help you to practice that gz sound. Now, the third way that we can pronounce the letter X in English is actually just as a z sound. Z. Look at words like xylophone, 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 or xenon, 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 or xenolith, xenolith, or even the name Xena, Xena. I remember when I was younger, I used to watch Xena the Warrior Princess on Sunday mornings every single weekend. Xena, Xena. Make sure you're pronouncing that X there as a Z, Z. Xena, xenon, xenolith, xylophone. Xena, xenon, xenolith, and xylophone. As you probably guessed, we pronounce X like a Z when it comes at the beginning of words. Xylophone, xylophone, or Xena, Xena. So nearly always, there are some small exceptions, but normally when you see X at the beginning of words, make sure you're pronouncing it as a Z. Xena, xenon, and xylophone. Okay, now the fourth way that we can pronounce the letter X in English is another difficult pronunciation. It's as a ksh, ksh. It's actually two sounds combined. It's that k, 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 and sh, sh. Look at words like anxious, 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 or complexion, 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 complexion. Here, the letter X is acting like a K followed by S and H. So it's kind of like ksh, complexion, 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 and anxious. Also in luxury, luxury, or sexual, sexual, or transfixion, transfixion. In all of these words, the letter X is that ksh, ksh together, okay? K and sh. Try this practice sentence. His anxious sexual complexion was a luxury. His anxious sexual complexion was a luxury. His anxious sexual complexion was a luxury. Okay? Now, the fifth way to pronounce the letter X is a little bit strange. Look at the word luxury. We just learned this word, luxury. And many people do pronounce this luxury, luxury, luxury. But there are a lot of English native speakers who also might pronounce this luxury, 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 with a more G sound, like gzh. So instead of k and sh, they instead use g and zh. Okay, luxury, luxury. Especially common in words like luxurious, luxurious. Some people will say luxurious, but it's much more common to hear luxurious, luxurious. Now, it's not a really common pronunciation of the letter X, but it is something that you should know. So, practice with me. Luxury, luxury, luxurious, luxurious. And this is something that's a little bit strange about the letter X because it kind of has two pronunciations quite often in English. Look at words like exit, exit. Now here, just at the beginning of the lesson, we learned that you should pronounce this with that x, x, exit, exit. But actually, many native speakers will pronounce this exit, exit, exit. So we've got exit or exit. Exit or exit. Exit, exit. Same with exile, exile or exile, exile. It's either pronounced like an X or eggs, eggs. Like eggs, 6 eggs. Exile, exile, okay? Or exile. You will actually hear both in English. It's very common for native speakers to switch. Some will use exile and some will use exile. Exile. Depends on where you are in the world. Whether you're in parts of the USA, parts of the UK, parts of Australia, anywhere in the English-speaking world. So be prepared to sometimes hear exit and sometimes hear exit. Exit. Okay? Now, an interesting fact that you might not know about English is when people are writing text messages, or they're writing to their friends on Facebook or Instagram or something like this, they often shorten words that end in something like C and S, like pics is short for pictures. But actually, many people now just put the letter X at the end. You have probably seen people write THX for thanks. Thanks. It ends in KS, that X sound. And as we learned before, sometimes the letter X can be pronounced with that X pronunciation. And it's very common when writing text messages for people to just shorten words down and put X in place of that X sound anytime you hear it. So pictures becomes pics. Pics. Send me some pics. Or thanks becomes THX, which is still pronounced thanks. Thanks. Now, what we're going to have a look at next is some really difficult tongue twisters. After you've practiced these tongue twisters, I promise your pronunciation of the letter X will be nearly perfect. Okay? So have a go at this first tongue twister. The extra xylophones exhibited exquisite exuberance and extravagance. The extra xylophones exhibited exquisite exuberance and extravagance. The extra xylophones exhibited exquisite exuberance and extravagance. That's a tough one. Now have a go at this second one. Remember, you can rewind, go back any time and practice them again and again and again until you feel that you're pronouncing every word perfectly. Let's have a look at the second one. The next exit was a mix of extra doors and exciting windows, which had an excellent mix of text on it. The next exit was a mix of extra doors and exciting windows, which had an excellent mix of text on it. The next exit was a mix of extra doors and exciting windows, which had an excellent mix of text on it. Okay, now I have one final super tongue twister for you to try. Have a look at this one. We exchanged exasperating explanations about extracting X Factor from exceptional Xerox boxes. We exchanged exasperating explanations about extracting X Factor from exceptional Xerox boxes. one more time. We exchanged exasperating explanations about extracting X factor from exceptional Xerox boxes. Okay guys, thank you very much for watching this video today. Remember, if you haven't already, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my other lessons. Also, if you would like to support me in my work in making these videos for you, you can find me on Ko-Fi, or you can just send a thanks at the bottom of this video. Okay, thanks again, and we're going to look at another letter next week. The next letter, of course, will be the letter Y, so stay tuned for that. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.